So we'll just go through these one by one. Master switch on.
Okay.
We're going to check the fuel pumps run and flow. Fuel pressure came up.
And what are you looking for?
Just positive pressure. We want to make sure that
okay.
Came up. The second one came up. Okay, fuel gauge, we're looking good on fuel. Lamp test, lamps come on.
Which lamps? Oh, all the ones up there?
Just this one right here is the fuel test.
Okay, got it.
These are for our turbo control unit for our turbocharger.
Yep.
So if we get either of those come on, we want to make sure we land. Trim tells us when the trim is full forward. You should be able to see it comes on and off. It's not a real bright one, but
can you hear it?
You can't, no.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. Oh, the light comes on when it's full forward.
Correct.
Okay, got it.
So trim switch operates, so it does. Master switch coming off. Fuselage right side cyclic looseness or play. It's cyclic is on there good.
When you said right side, that's on the left.
Well, the right side of the aircraft. So basically, when we do our walk around, we start here on the front right and we come all the way around.
Okay.
So rudder pedals, rods, links, cables. Rods, links, cables are all looking good there. Okay. Wiring connectors. We're just going to check over the wiring, make sure there's no loose wires here. Everything is looking good. Tubing and hose clamps. Make sure all of our hose clamps are in place, and they are just as we did on the other side. Exhaust pipes, mufflers. Make sure we don't have any cracks in our exhaust pipes on this side, and everything looks good there. Undercarriage left side, same as the right side. We're going to check to make sure we don't have any cracks here. Everything is looking good. The wheel, we also want to check, make sure the bolts have some thread coming through, and they do.
Yeah, I looked from both sides.
Okay. And then we have the wheel and wheel pants. Make sure wheel pants are on there securely. Make sure we don't have too much wear on the landing gear. We're going to check the hub bar, make sure there's no cracks or anything. We have our pins.
The hub bar is the big flat piece?
Correct,
okay.
the big metal piece. Got
the locking pins?
Yep, got locking pins in place. We have our 4 torque seal bolts up there, so that's all good. Pre-rotator ring gear, flex cable, Bendix, we've already checked that. Cyclical range, check that. Control rod, just make sure we have some movement, and we do, and all those.
Yeah, just the rod end bearings aren't
they're not
tight.
Right.
And they're aligned.
Exactly. Cockpit and fuselage left side, fuselage body, everything's good. I do have a slight crack here that I'm familiar with. The windscreens, we've already checked the windscreen. Seat belts, we've already checked that. Throttle and brake levers, make sure throttles both move together, and they do. Brake levers, that brake is tight, that brake is tight, and this actually will go. Go all the way up. The back just a little bit. So up, that's 100% power right there.
Oh, I see.
And then go past the detent, that's 115.
No, wait a second. 100 horsepower, and you go past the detent, it's 115.
100% power is what we also call it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's 100. That's 100% power. It's 115% power.
So is this non-boosted? That's boosted?
It's constantly boosted. It's when you or it's constantly turbo normalized. So it is, yes, that's when it goes into a full boost.
Okay, then I'll watch on the boost thing just to see what it is when we're running.
Sounds good.
So for takeoff, do you just go to normal, or do you go all the way?
Well, it depends on what type of takeoff you're doing.
Okay.
But on a normal takeoff, yes, we just go to 100%.
Okay. And the reason that you'd want to do it otherwise would be if you were at altitude or it was a short takeoff.
Right.
Okay.
Short or soft. We also use it for soft field takeoffs.
Huh.
Why
is that? Just to get off sooner, or?
Yes. So that we're not sticking on the ground as long as we might.
It's kind of interesting. It's kind of it's not a shake issue, is it, because of the clumps of the grass?
It bumps you around pretty good on the grass.
Yeah, okay.
But it's more so if you're wanting to get out of some mud or out of a real draggy situation, you want to pop off as quickly as possible.
I see.
And we are limited to 5 minutes in turbo. So we're limited to 5 minutes in 115 or above 100%.
Okay.
Okay.
Plus, of course, you got a 109 on your tail, a Messerschmitt.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, then I don't think you're going to have much luck either way.
Yeah, that's right.
Nose gear, we'll check the nose gear here. Make sure. Security, it rolls, it's secure. Yeah, we're good there.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, is this a landing line?
That is.
I'll be darned.
And
amazing.
Yes,
oh my
sir.
God.
And pitot tube. This is our pitot tube right in here.
No way. So it doesn't actually come out.
Correct.
You're kidding.
That's it.
Oh, of course, I guess the nose becomes your pitot
Right.
tube. I'll be darned. That's pretty cool. The stabilizer, also, it's kind of like it's basically like feathers on an arrow, but what's the purpose of the horizontal stabilizer on an autogyro?
That's an excellent question, and that horizontal stabilizer is what makes this aircraft a stable aircraft.
Okay.
So gyroplanes, back in the day of Sierra and Pitcairn, there was a lot of stability in them through a tractor-style gyro, such as the Pitcairn, where the prop
Right.
is on the front,
Right.
actually naturally creates much more stability than a pusher-style gyro.
Because it's pulling forward of the center of
Exactly.
gravity instead of pushing it, which would actually kind of like be balancing on a top of a pinhead.
Exactly.
Okay.
In this particular aircraft, the rear tank or the rear seat is actually your fuel tank. So the fuel is under this rear seat here.
Okay. Not on, so on the bottom or also on the back here?
On the entire
okay.
the entire seat. So that's also made for center of gravity purposes because as I fill it with fuel and as I burn off fuel, it's not going to make difference in the center of gravity.
Yeah, same reason why the Spirit of St. Louis, all the fuel tanks are in the wing and in front of Lindbergh, because he was constant weight whether the airplane was full or empty. And so when they designed the airplane, all the weight was on the center of gravity, and that's why he can't see where he's going, because it's all fuel tank in front of him.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We want to go over all the systems of the gyro.
Okay.
And so why don't we come up front and I'll show you the general systems. We'll go over everything one by one. So I'm going to turn on my master switch here, and I need to get a little bit of fuel in here. So basically what we have here, we have all of our engine instruments here. We just turned on our master switch, so our instruments came on. We're in a engine warning right now. The reason we're in a warning is
low fuel pressure or just oil pressure, okay?
Correct. So what we'll do is we'll acknowledge that warning by hitting next acknowledge.
Okay.
And that comes to this page right here that has a lot of strange numbers on it. To find out what each number means, hold the display button and it tells you. So
okay, cool.
We have our tachometer.
Okay, 0.
Fuel pressure.
0.
Manifold pressure.
27 or 30 inches.
Right. Cylinder head temperature.
Ambient.
Exhaust gas temperature.
Ambient.
Voltage. Oil pressure. Oil temperature.
Is this a 12-volt system?
This is a 14, yeah,
12,
14 volt. Yeah.
Okay. 12-volt battery with a 14-volt generator or alternator?
I believe that's correct. Yes.
Is it an alternator or a generator?
It's a generator.
Generator. Okay.
Yeah, it is a generator on this. So all of our engine instruments are there. We have our fuel gauge here. We can fuel test. We'll make sure the light works and that light is operating.
That's just a warning?
Correct.
And how much fuel's left when...
It's right at 2 gallons, which 2 gallons will get you... It will get you right at 20 minutes of flight time.
Oh my God, that's unbelievable. Yeah, so it burns like 5.5 gallons an hour.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. And how much fuel is the whole total?
Total is, it's in liters, but in gallons it's 19 and a half, right around 19.
Okay, so almost 20 gallons of fuel, and it burns 5.5. So you get freaking 3 hours you could fly. And still have reserve.
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
Yep.
But the seat looks comfortable.
Yeah, it's not bad.
So this is the throttle.
Correct. That's the throttle, and that's brakes. So it's just squeeze the wheel brakes.
Oh, wheel brakes.
Correct.
And they're on both sides.
That's correct. Well, it's not independent braking. It's both wheels.
Both at the same time.
Correct.
And then for steering, the little nose wheel up here is somewhat connected to the rudders.
It's completely connected. Yes,
okay.
It's hard. It has a hard connect. When we lift it, you can watch the rudder as I turn left and right.
Oh yeah, got it. Okay. Cool.
And so back to the systems here for just a moment. So we went over our engine instruments, then we have our fuel gauge, we have our compass. This is a GPS.
Oh my God.
So yeah, it can show you all that you want to see. It has all your charts on here, everything that you need to know.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me. But has it got iTunes?
Actually,
no way.
Put for my iPod there. I have a transponder here. This is used whenever we fly into controlled airspace. It's also used for other aircraft to see us in flight. On this aircraft, to conserve space, I got my airspeed and altimeter indicator here that is actually
digital,
put in together. Correct. Let's see.
So airspeed at the top 0 and
correct.
What are we, 500 and
570? Yeah. The airport itself is 600.
Okay.
But
you're higher.
Correct. Yeah. This part of the airport is actually closer to 570.
And so, what does the EIS stand for?
Engine Information System.
Okay. Okay.
So,
there we go. Okay, good.
Yeah. So then we'll also turn this on. This is our radios.
Okay.
The active frequency here at Taylor is 122.80.
Just Unicom?
Correct.
Okay.
We have a rotor tachometer here that you can see does not have a reading on there.
However, we're not moving?
Well, because I have my rotor brake on.
Okay.
It's wired to where when I release my rotor brake, the rotor tachometer comes on.
Cool.
That way, if you don't see your rotor tachometer, you know that your rotor brake is on.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Cool.
We have two fuel pumps. To turn on a fuel pump, it's one switch.
Okay.
To turn it off, it's two switches.
Right.
Because these
are guarded.
Right. We want to make sure we don't turn those off in flight. The last part that's important, very important item to realize is
control lock.
Control lock, and this is a pre-rotator.
Okay.
So you can see on the back of the gyro here, there's a belt that is tensioning whenever I pull that pre-rotator.
Oh, cool.
That pre-rotator is going to rotate
the rotor head
blade when we're on the range.
And that's what this big thing up here goes
Correct.
Up to. Okay, so where it disconnects is back here. So this is always turning.
No, not really. So this.
Oh, it's not turning once it disconnects. No, but it's directly connected to the gear up there.
It's actually connected like a starter is connected to a.
Okay.
It has a
so there's
gear.
Okay, so it shifts forward, and when it disconnects, then it pops down.
Exactly.
I got it. Okay,
exactly.
cool.
As long mechanically the way that it's designed is as long as that rotor is turning faster than the pre-rotator.
Okay.
Then the pre-rotator will not be engaged.
Okay.
These aircraft have an electric trim on them.
Oh, I'll be darned. That's pretty cool.
This trim acts kind of like cruise control in your car.
Right.
So
like trimming a boat.
Exactly.
Or an airplane.
Well, this aircraft actually, when you trim it up, it will hold the airspeed that you trim it up for. So if I want to hold, let's say I want to hold 70 miles per hour.
Right.
I will set my stick for 70 miles per hour. I will trim until it doesn't feel like the stick is pulling one direction or the other on me, and I'll let go, and it will fly 70 miles per hour for the flight. As
long as you don't. So even if you adjust the throttle, it'll
even
stay.
if you adjust
you'll
the throttle,
climb or you'll descend.
Right. So it will now. That gets down to you'll climb or you'll descend if you're within the power curve.
Right.
Gyroplanes do have what we call the power curve, which on this aircraft is somewhere right around 35 miles per hour, maybe a little bit slower, all the way up to right around 100 miles per hour. Which that means that at 35 miles per hour, full power is no longer going to make you climb.
Right, you hit a drag limit or
correct.
A boundary of something. Yeah.
At 100 miles per hour, full power is no longer going to make you climb.
Right.
It's going to descend. So as long as you're within that range, then you can trim it up for whatever airspeed you want to trim it up for, and then you'll use your power. Initially, when you add power or reduce power, it may initially go off that number by 5 or 10 miles per hour. but then the aircraft, because it is a dynamically stable aircraft, will return back to that.
Positively divergent.
Correct.
Positively dynamically stable.
Right, positively dynamically stable. The way the trim works in this gyro, we'll just turn on the master. Watch that spring up there at the rotor. Right now I'm pulling the trim back, and so what that's doing is that's
pulling the string, okay, spring, yeah.
It tensions that, and it actually will pull that spring back to where it will hold the, now I'm going back forward with it, now it's relieving that tension.
Okay, now put the control neutral.
Going control neutral with it.
Oh, okay, so it doesn't really, yeah, okay, so.
And then coming back with the trim.
Well, then I guess the question that begs to be asked is, how do you know where you're supposed to take off from?
It's always taking off with full forward trim.
Okay.
This isn't an aircraft like an airplane where you're trying to keep where you're trying to rotate at a certain airspeed. We aren't looking to rotate at a certain airspeed. What we do is we keep the stick all the way back whenever we're
because that's increasing your auto rotation effect to get the RPM up, and it just lifts up when it wants to.
Correct. The nose wheel will lift up, and when the nose wheel lifts up, we move that stick forward to so that it doesn't just bounce off the ground. So we move it forward and kind of balance on those on our mains, and the mains will just smoothly and gently come off the ground, and then we'll hold it in ground effect until this aircraft, our best glide is, in our VY, is 60 miles per hour.
Okay.
So what we're going to look for is we're going to look for 60 miles per hour. And at 60 miles per hour, we're no longer in what we call the height velocity curve. The height velocity curve states that if you are slower than a certain airspeed or lower than a certain altitude, then you're in a very dangerous position.
Kind of a dead man space or whatever.
Exactly, that's what it's also called. Height velocity curve is dead man's curve.
Yeah, okay.
So if, let's say we're at, in this aircraft, it's 60 miles per hour or 300 feet. If we have 300 feet, we can go all the way to 0 miles per hour.
We can push it forward and get before we hit the ground.
Correct.
Okay.
If we are at over 60 miles per hour, we can be at whatever altitude we want.
2 feet.
Right.
Yeah.
And there is a little bit of a cushion there because of when you're taking off ground effect. Ground effect comes into play, but also what comes into play is you're right there over the ground. So if at 2 feet you lost your engine, then you're just going to set down.
Yeah.
So this aircraft will go all the way to 0 miles per hour. We can't maintain altitude at 0 miles per hour, but we can bring it all the way back.
Yeah, so you slow it all the way down, bring the engine to 0, and it just comes down like one of those leaves.
Correct.
Spinning down.
Sycamore leaf, yep.
Yeah, so obviously somebody had already figured it out before Juan Sierra.
I think God had that one figured out.
The big G had it figured out, huh? Yeah. No, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
All right, so we're looking, let's get the seat built first.
Yep. And we have a checklist on the left side of your leg.
Okay.
And I'm gonna have you read that through to me here in just a moment.
Where are the jacks?
Behind your left arm, right.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Probably going to need a key at some point.
It's hanging off of the pre-rotator lever.
Got it. Okay, master?
Yep, turn the master switch on. The yellow and red light, which were the TCU caution and warning, to the left. Those two came on and they came off. The TCU caution, TCU warning, you can...
Yep.
Yep, there they went.
Okay.
Okay, so that tells us that that's working properly. All right, so let's go through the rest of the checklist on the left side. So master was good, yellow, red lights were good.
Yep. Safety belts on.
The back.
Helmet on or secure.
On in the back.
Cyclic.
We'll leave that where it's at for now.
Okay.
Do not press rudder pedals. Okay, that's fine.
Okay, we're not rolling.
Should have adjusted that already.
Okay.
It's looking good, yeah.
Brakes in. Breakers in.
That's under your switches. Just make sure all those are in.
Okay. Yep.
Okay, radios are off. I have a radio master switch right next to the
right.
master.
Got it.
Okay. Choke on. We don't need that. It's warm.
Okay. Fuel pumps.
We'll turn one fuel pump on. Okay.
And I could check pressure here, right?
Leave it on that page for right now.
Okay.
You can hear that it's running, so we should be fine.
You can hear it. I got a headset on. I can't hear crap.
Okay.
I can hear it. Okay, mags both.
Okay. The keys.
Okay.
Okay.
Throttle at idle.
And we'll crack it just a little bit.
Okay.
That's enough right there. Cyclic forward. And now we'll clear the prop. Look left and look right. Make sure that we're clear both sides. We're clear on the right side. Clear on the left.
On the left, okay.
Yellow clear prop.
I don't need the brakes yet, do I?
It wouldn't hurt to. Actually, go ahead and squeeze the brakes pretty tight. And there's a little flapper under that. And you can flap that up.
Oh, the parking brake.
Brake in place.
Oh, cool. Okay, parking brake set.
All right, and now clear prop. Let's go ahead and hit the starter button. The big red button.
Okay, clear prop.
Bring the power back to around 2,000. There we go. That's good. Okay, let's go ahead and turn the radio master on.
Okay, where's the oil pressure? Okay. Oil pressure, that's the first thing. Okay, got it. Okay.